Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're decoding the story of a man who, honestly, shaped our modern world in more ways than you can probably imagine. We're talking about Alan Turing.
So let's just dive right in, because the answer to this, it is not simple. This was a man of so many different parts, often misunderstood, and his legacy, well, it's still unfolding right now.
For one, he was an incredible wartime hero. He was the brilliant mind at the very heart of this top-secret operation that cracked what everyone thought were the unbreakable codes of the enemy. And in doing so, he helped turn the tide of World War II.
But he was so much more than that. He was a really profound thinker who wasn't just interested in, building machines. He was asking the huge fundamental questions about what intelligence even is. What does it actually mean to think?
And finally, he was a visionary. The theoretical work he did laid the groundwork for the computers we carry around in our pockets and for the artificial intelligence that is, as we speak, completely reshaping our world.
To really get his genius, you have to go back in time with me. We're at Bletchley Park, during the absolute darkest days of World War II. This is where Turing and his team faced their most famous challenge, the German Enigma machine. This thing was encrypting military communications with just terrifying efficiency. So, how do you beat a machine? Well, Turing co-designed another machine. It was called the Bombi, an electromechanical marvel built to figure out the daily Enigma settings. And the growth of this project was just staggering. It went from a single machine in a tiny little hut to a massive industrial-scale operation.
And just look at the sheer scale of that. By the time the war was ending, they had 211 of these incredibly complex machines up and running. What a testament to the urgency and the pure ingenuity of the whole effort.
But here's what's so important to remember. This wasn't just about one guy in a room. Oh no. The Bombi project was a massive human collaboration. Out of almost 2,000 people working on it, more than 1,600 were women from the Women's Royal Naval Service, the WRNS, who are operating these machines 24/7.
So, what was the result of all this? Well, their work was just unbelievably effective. Throughout the entire war, the project had a 97.6% success rate in breaking the German codes. A number like that had an absolutely decisive impact on the outcome of the war.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the post-war world and see where this goes. The war was won, right? But Turing, he shifted his focus. He went from breaking codes to asking what is probably one of the most profound questions of the 20th century. And it's a question that we're still wrestling with today.
In his landmark 1950 paper, he just sliced right through centuries of philosophical debate with this one simple, audacious question. But instead of getting totally bogged down in defining thinking, he came up with a practical way to actually test it. He called it the imitation game. The whole idea was to replace that big, fuzzy question, can machines think, with something way more concrete. Basically, can a machine have a conversation that is so good it's indistinguishable from a human's? The setup is just beautifully elegant. You've got an interrogator who's just typing questions to two players they can't see. One is a human, one is a machine. And both of them are trying to convince the interrogator that they're the human one. So, if the interrogator can't reliably tell which is which, has the machine, in a way, demonstrated thinking?
And man, did this simple, powerful idea set off a firestorm. It sparked this intense debate that has now been raging for over 70 years, and it shaped the entire field of artificial intelligence and how we even try to measure its progress.
Now here's a little detail a lot of people don't know. The test that we usually talk about today is actually the standard interpretation. Turing's original idea was a bit different. It was based on a party game where a man would try to imitate a woman, and he just proposed swapping the man out for a machine. It's a subtle difference, but a really significant one.
And the test has faced some really powerful criticisms right from the beginning. People argue, hey, is this a test for intelligence or just for being a good liar? It really prioritizes human-like chit-chat over other kinds of smarts, and it can't tell the difference between a real conscious mind and just a really, really good simulation.
And yet, its influence is everywhere. Literally. Every single time you click a box that says, "I'm not a robot," or you try to read those weird wavy letters online, you are taking part in a reverse Turing test. That's what CAPTCHA stands for. Completely automated public Turing test to tell computers and humans apart.
And all of this brings us to what might just be Turing's most urgent lesson for us right now.
It's this powerful idea that connects his secret wartime code-breaking directly to the challenges we're facing with modern AI.
You see, even way back then at Bletchley Park, just building the technology, that wasn't enough. They also had to build what you could call an ethical algorithm for how to use the information it was giving them.
I mean, think about it for a second. If they acted on every single piece of intelligence, stopping every attack, the Germans would figure out in a heartbeat that Enigma was broken, and they just changed the whole system. So they had to make these incredibly difficult moral choices about which intel to use, all to create an ethical framework to save the most lives in the long run. And that exact same principle is what guides the modern Alan Turing Institute today. Their whole argument is that ethics isn't some roadblock to innovation. It's not something you just tack on at the end. No, it is the very foundation that allows technology to progress in a way that's sustainable and actually good for us.
So when you boil it all down, Turing's real legacy, it isn't just a test or a machine. It's an entire approach. It's the idea that building powerful technology and building it responsibly have to happen at the exact same time. It means bringing all sorts of experts to the table to tackle the big challenges of fairness, transparency, and the social impact of all this stuff.
And that's the final lesson from a man who saw further ahead than almost anyone else. He understood that creating these powerful tools is only half the battle. The other half, the harder half, is learning how to use them wisely. And that leaves us with a question that is more critical for us today than it has ever been before.